So in my last budget net worth report, I made a $20,000 accounting mistake, which was extremely kindly pointed out by several people in the comments. And thank you, because I had not seen that and would not have noticed it until going to account this month. So let's see what happened with that real quick. In my IRA, my Betterment IRA listed in my retirement savings, I made a keystroke error and accidentally went from $2,556 in that account to $25,561 in that account. And while the stock market is constantly in flux, it's not quite that much. So I actually did that same typo in two places. I eat at my desk a lot, if I'm being just real honest, which at this point, why hide anything? And my decimal point I think it got a little stuck. And so I did catch that in one place where I'd accidentally made 1,000 instead of 100. And I didn't catch it in another. So unfortunately, my net worth is not $150,000 as of this month. It was 130. So huge error. Fortunately, like nothing really relied on that being an accurate number other than, my dignity as a money person on the internet. So if you noticed that, thank you. If you congratulated me on $150,000 net worth, thank you. And I'm sorry. I guess let's do November, because I do have some good news at the end. No, I didn't hit 150. I'm a little bit closer though. So thank you for your understanding. And let's just let this serve as another reason not reconcile your budget for 3 months because you're working on renovating a camper, because when you do that, you might not notice that big of an error. Because across 3 months, I could have gained 20 grand, maybe. I was thinking, there's a camper in play as well. So a lot of money had gone out, a lot of money had come in. And yeah, I am imperfect, and I am always happy to be like, yep, here's the idiot. Do better than me, please. I do these so you can do better than me. Let's get into the video. God, I hope this isn't your first video, but if it is, I'm Sarah, also known as Budget Girl here on the internet, and I talk about my financial failures and sometimes wins, and have for the last 7 years, getting out of debt and now building up a net worth of not quite 150,000, but we're close-ish. At the beginning of the year, I was at less than 100,000. So regardless, I'm doing all right this year. Usually it's fun here, and sometimes you get to point and laugh. So that's good. Let's go over November's budget. All right, so in November, I made $3,202.73 from my day job, which is at Texas A&M. That's a little down from last month because I had a one-time merit pay from last month. I also made $2,609 from this, my business, Budget Girl. So thank you so much for watching and supporting my channel. I made $1,250 and $700 respectively from my rental duplex, which totaled out to $7,762.81. So over in my notes section, I did have a few changes. I refied my mortgage for my duplex last month. And so for this month, I paid $1,584.66 to the refi company, which is pretty much in lieu of a payment for this month. So the mortgage isn't going to change this month, and it's just slightly lower than what I would have paid, because normally that's about what my mortgage is, but I usually pay a little over. I also moved my project Airbnb camper to a RV park, and I paid $450 for an MRI out of pocket, because I've been having back problems for a while, and my doctor recommended I get an MRI, and that is the copay. Nobody's happy about it, but that's what it is. So I actually haven't even gotten the results yet, and that was at the very beginning of the month. So let's just go down here. Car insurance, phone, gas, and electrical were all pretty normal. I did overspend on groceries this month with no real excuse. There's actually so much over on restaurant that I let it over into groceries, so we're over on both of those for November. It was a very busy month. Yeah, we're doing better in December. In fact, for the first 6 days, we didn't do any eating out, and we'll probably do that again this week. We did eat out on the weekend. So it's, you know what? It's dark outside really early now, and trying to finish up the camper is a lot. The last like 10% takes so much longer than some of the big stuff, which I never would have expected. Personal spending, I spent $137, which is way lower than I normally would because all we've been doing is working on the camper and eating, apparently. We did go to the Renaissance Fest, and that was like $70, $76. And then I also bought some ceramic bowls from a vendor there, and those are really nice, and some popcorn. And so we spent about $40 there. And then there was just some different stuff. I actually ordered some Christmas pajamas from Kohl's. They said they were cotton. They came in, they were flannel, so I returned those, but I returned them in December, so you'll see a negative for that next month. Going down, I bought a few pieces of clothing. I had the MRIs right here, $439.92. I had to get a new light for my car and had a couple of prescriptions. Had to get gas a couple of times. Everything came out to $3,940.54 for my regular spending, and then $500 saved for my future REI fund, and then $700 for investing, which totals out to $5,140.54, which is $329.99 over my set budget. So we'll have to take that out later. Coming on down, on YouTube, I had a little bit of a slow month. I made $776.79 on YouTube, which is great. Thank you so much for watching my videos. I made $152.65 off of my website, budgetgirl.com. I've been putting out so many new articles this month. I would highly appreciate it if you go over and check them out. A lot of them are holiday centric, meant on saving you money. So please go check it out. I've been working really hard this year to build that up and have only been moderately successful. So on Etsy, I made $125.72, and then I made $1,500 off of the Financial Diet Summit that I participated in, which was really, really fun. I also made $55 off of an affiliate link. So, and then my Budget Girl expenses were internet, Canva, Flowdesk, a person who does my newsletter, person who runs my website, video editor, my caching system, my hosting for my website, and actually DigitalOcean Cloudflare both do similar things, and Adam handles that, so we're just gonna let it go. And then my virtual assistant. So that plus my $500 that is a business tax savings totals out to $1,173.99. So taking that from the $2,609.88 that I made equals out to $1,435.89. Nothing happened at the rental this month, so I just had my normal income of $1,740. My mortgage, mortgage was a little bit off. I'll change that later because my expenses were only $1,584. I forgot to adjust that. So that's just a couple of dollars. I'll fix that for next month. So I had $140 that I made from the rental, and then coming down here, so my total income was $7,762.81 minus my main expenses, minus BG expenses, plus what I made off the property equals a total take home, so after my budget, of what I made minus what I spent of $1,588.08, which is great. But if you remember, we overspent in the main budget a little bit by $329, so that's coming out of that. And then that leaves $1,258.09 to my real estate investing savings. So minus that equals zero, because this is a zero-based budget. By the way, if you like this budget, you can get it on Etsy. I will leave a link to my shop below. It is less than $10. You can duplicate it and customize it to exactly what you need. There are no frozen cells, and you can get this and my net worth tracker, which I'm about to show you. Highly, highly suggest you track your net worth. Both of these tools have been what I've used to pay off my debt, build wealth. Other than the whole calculation area we mentioned before, it's been perfect. And that was not the spreadsheet's fault. Let's be clear. That was this one's fault. $1,588 to my REI save. And let's go down because I know you want to see this. This was pretty much the last month for the big reno on the camper that I bought. I'll link the videos on that down below. I bought a 1982 Holiday Rambler camper, and I've been renovating it into an Airbnb. And for the past 3 months, I've been working on that. So this is all the costs, and I'll have that broken down in a different video, but this is everything I spent this month, from wood glue to bolts for the bed to labor to all of that. And I don't count my own labor, just labor that I had to hire out. So I spent $3,549.48 on the camper this month. That does include a deposit and parking for the very last couple of weeks or I think the last week and a half of November at the place where I have it parked. And then I'll pay the full amount to have it parked at the RV park in December. So I spent $35, $49, $48 from my REI savings account on my Airbnb this month, and I put in $15.8808. I don't just subtract those from each other just for accounting purposes. So one went in, the other went out. I did spend more than I put in this month, but that's okay. We're still in renovation processes, so very, very soon I'm hoping to get the camper up on Airbnb this month. I'm having just one more propane problem because that keeps being an issue, and then it should be ready to go up. So hopefully I'll start making money back on that soon. Let's move on to my net worth tracker. In my checking, there's about $6,500. In my duplex checking, which I do keep separate, is $1,934, totaling out to $8,337 in checking cash. Next, I've got my emergency fund, which is at $10,000. My duplex emergency fund, which is for if anything happens to the duplex, at $12,000. And then my short-term savings, so any kind of non-emergency savings that comes up, I tap this before I tap my emergency fund, and that's at $2,015. So that's $24,034 in cash. Next, my sinking funds. I used to have more of these, as you can see at the beginning of the year. I've now just switched to a short-term and long-term savings and my REI savings. So I've got $18,155 in my REI savings, which this is where I've been pulling the money to restore the camper out of, and it's also what I'll use to eventually purchase land to put the camper on, or whatever my next real estate investment is. And I like to keep that in cash, because when you invest money that you're planning on using in the next 1 to 3 years, you have to deal with a lot of market volatility. And when you get the deal, or when you find something you want to invest in, what if the market's on a downturn? I don't like to play that game. So keep short-term savings in cash, and stuff you're going to use shortly in cash. Next, I have $423 in my car sinking fund, which is just for insurance every 6 months, and $2,559 in my YouTube sinking fund, which is where that $500 goes. I pay quarterly estimated taxes for my Budget Girl business, and so that's to keep the IRS at bay. So that's a total of $53,508 in cash and savings, which is incredible because I used to make $1,600 a month and had $33K in debt. So love that for me. And every time I look at it, I'm still kind of like, okay, we're doing better now. Next, in retirement, I've got $46,739. This is where the error happened last month. Right here, I accidentally put in $28,000 instead of $2,845. It was just a keystroke error. I've since fixed it, and yes, I've got 16 grand in a teacher's retirement system account, 10 grand in an old IRA that just kind of sits and grows. I don't contribute to it, and then 2,541 once again in an old IRA that I rolled over, and then $17,682 in a Roth IRA with Vanguard, which I'm actively contributing to and has been growing this year. It started at 9,249, which pretty good growth this year, and I put $500 a month into it. I plan to max it out this year. So next, we've got some other investments. So I've got $2,257 in an M1 finance account, and then $300 each in Acorns and Robinhood. These are just kind of like fun investing. Mainly, I do just the VT Sax and Chill with my Vanguard account. And that is what I recommend, by the way. But there's like a little crypto and random other stuff in there. So total investments is $49,302, equaling out to $102,810 in total liquid assets, which is awesome. Which is down from last month because the market's been down a little bit. So last month I was at 104. But that's okay. We set and forget. We don't necessarily worry about the overall up and down turns. If you look back at what it was at the beginning of the year, we're definitely up. So next, my duplex is worth about $240,000. It's actually worth a lot more, but it was $240 last time it was appraised, so that's what we're going with. My car's worth about $6 grand, and you can see that I bumped this here. I paid $4,200 for the camper when it looked like this, and now that it is completely renovated and beautiful and gorgeous, I'm positive that I could sell it for about 15 grand, if not more. So that is what the worth is at. And I like to be kind of conservative on these things. I keep a really, really good thumb on the pulse of tiny house and camper costs because I'm always looking for them. And yeah, don't think I'd have a problem selling it for 15K, all finished and beautiful. On to debts. I only have my mortgage, which is fantastic. So $223,342. It's the same amount as last month because I didn't pay to the mortgage. I paid to the refinance company. So 0 down there. I will resume payments to it in January. My new net worth is $140,468. We are lower than I thought I was last month, but there was a typo there. But honestly, that's really close to 150K. I don't think I'll hit it by the end of the year, but I can probably do it very early next year, especially once the Airbnb gets up and running. That'll be a really fantastic additional stream of income that I haven't had before. And I really think it's been worth the last 3 months of working my tail off to get this property up and running, which is really cool. And it's been quite an adventure. Also, you can see at the start of the year, my net worth was only $95,000. I make about 50 grand a year from Texas A&M, and I was trying to hit about 50K a year in budget girl income this year. I haven't done the math to see how close I am to that, but a $40,000 increase this year, I'm not mad at in my total net worth. That doesn't mean I just spent 10 grand. I spent a lot more, but because I had these investments that were growing, I was able to essentially grow my net worth really nicely this year. Also, a reminder, it took me 3 years to pay off 33K in student loan debt. It's so much easier to build wealth when you're on this side of interest and investing, and I will never get over how cool that is. I hope you think it's cool too. All right, so we are back on track for budget and net worth reports. I hope you enjoyed this one and you forgive me for making that error. I would have figured it out, but this month when I went and put in that new betterment, because it would have looked like it went down a ton. But I'm so glad that you guys saw it and called me on it so I could fix it sooner. And yeah, mistakes happen. We're not perfect people, especially me, but I'm trying real hard. That's all that counts. What are we doing? Our best. All right, I will see you guys next time. You can get the net worth tracker and the budget down at my Etsy shop, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Not perfect people, especially me, but I'm trying real hard. That's all that counts. What are we doing? Our best. All right, I will see you guys next time. You can get the net worth tracker and the budget down at my Etsy shop, and I will see you guys next time.